She's got her new shoe.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. This is Sheila Vitale. Nice to see a lot of people are on this call to learn about 21st Century Community Learning Centers. I have Shannon Teague here with us, who is going to tell you all the details, everything you need to know about this amazing grant that can do great things for your students. So one thing, if you have any questions, let us know by clicking on, there's a little message box on the left-hand side of your screen. Please click in there and type in any comments that you have, and we will make sure that those questions get answered. So with that, I'm turning it over to Shannon Teague. Thank you, Shannon.
And thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. As she stated, my name is Shannon Teague, and I serve as Assistant Director in the Office of Improvement and Innovation here at ODE. I am very thankful for this opportunity to introduce and probably reintroduce 21st Century Community Learning Center grants to you. My plan today is really just to discuss the grant in general and focus on strategies to engage families and the community in student learning. So let's jump right in. Perfect. All right. The 21st Century Community Learning Centers programs is funded by Title IV, Part B of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. It provides grant funding to our state to support academic enrichment opportunities during non-school hours for students, particularly those who attend high poverty and low performing schools. So if you look here at the purpose of the 21st Century Grant, right now every single state receives 21st Century funds, including Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico also receives funds, and Jamaica from the United States to provide 21st century programming. And new last year, the Virgin Islands. So this program has been around since 2002, and it's pretty well saturated, starting to be around the world. So the purpose of this competitive grant is to simply identify and support strong applicants with the implementation of out-of-school time or expanded learning, and I'll talk to you a little bit about the difference soon, that will enhance academic enrichment and social emotional growth. So, like I said, every year Ohio has received 21st Century funds. We've just received July 1st our fiscal year 20 award. This year, Ohio was awarded a little over $41 million from the United States Department of Education. And how we rank compared to other states is we are the fifth largest program. We receive the fifth largest amount of funds to be distributed by USDOE. So, about the grant program. The grant program is offered in out-of-school time. So out-of-school time is literally any hours that are not during the school day. So you could use funds for before school time if you have a before school or interested in having a before school program, or after school, and those funds can also be used for summer sessions. Now, the actual school or the program who has a 21st Century program, and I'll be real clear about that here in a minute, can decide on, maybe through a survey or based on what they know is the need or what's been identified need for your population, how you want to address students and what activities you want to participate, what activities you want to have in the program. There are 4 grant targets that must be addressed. These 4 targets are mandatory: reading enrichment, math enrichment, positive youth development, or you can say social emotional learning activities, and family engagement. Those are the 4 that you must address. How we ask that you address those is quite simple. You can first, for your math and your reading, the idea is for the program to connect with the teachers during the day and let the teachers know, hey, these are the kids that signed up for after school. How can we best complement the work that you're doing? A lot of times in the school day, teachers consistently say that they are unable to meet the needs in non-traditional ways. So they're able to do less field trips. They're able to do less hands-on exciting work. After school, before school, and summer programs should not at all look like during the day work. It should teach the kids the same lessons differently, because typically students need a different approach to learning. So again, those are the 4 focus areas for 21st century. The next slide, collaboration. When applicants apply, they must outline how they will involve the community. This grant focuses a lot on community involvement. In fact, this is the only grant that an LEA and or a community-based organization can apply for. So, by law, in order to receive a 21st century grant, a school that wants to go after this grant funding has to identify a primary community partner. So, if you're Smith Elementary School and you say, I want that grant, you have to reach out to your local Y, maybe the Y that's right next to your school, and say, this is the grant that we want to apply for. Are you interested? A lot of community organizations, due to our outreach, have learned about 21st century. And they may say they want to take the lead and even apply for it. They can do that. And so it just requires the school and the community organization to partner. Next, you are required to attend the district support teams. So if that community organization says, hey, I want to take the lead and we want to manage the grant, just know that someone there has to come into your school and be a part of your district support or building support team. Oh, I went the wrong way, sorry. Again, just really quick to highlight. In a traditional 21st century program, if you take a look at this diagram, these are all of the services or organizations that could be connected to your 21st century program. This diagram simply highlights a few examples of partnerships and or services our programs are connected to on a daily basis. One of the things that I want to focus on here is the parent and family component. I mentioned that that is a requirement, and in the programs, sometimes we really push our grantees to focus on the family component. And so when you're looking at 21st century, you want to begin as you're thinking about the framework of the program, you want to start thinking about how can we incorporate parents? How can you want to even compete with what you do during the day in the schools. You want to bring your parents in. Sometimes 21st century is a less threatening avenue for parents to come in. One of the requirements for all 21st century programs is that they have to offer classes for parents. And it might go simultaneously with the 21st century program, or it could be maybe a little later. So some programs that I'm familiar with may have a program that for students is from 3:30 to 5:30, but their parent program may start at 5 o'clock while students are still there and parents are off work. And they have a literacy programming, because family literacy is one of the requirements that we ask programs to address. You can help, especially if you're in a program that focuses or has a large population of ESL families. You may want to have someone come in and help the parents with literacy training. There are a variety of parents who have skill sets that could come in and offer, we call them units, or they come in and they offer like sessions or classes for students. But honestly, the sky is the limit. It's all about thinking about the students having fun, learning while they're doing so. And so it is a different approach. It's not babysitting after school, what we remember kind of back in the day, but it's a strategic approach to assisting students with learning. I keep going the wrong way. So, if you're interested in applying for a 21st century grant, every year we have a different little components to the grant that may change. But what has remained the same over the last 4 years, and I can guarantee you it will remain the same next year and the following, are the three options. So when you have an application, you'll say, hey, I want to apply for option 1, option 2, or option 3. In option 1, which is really the main reason why I was excited to share with you today, is for schools, for elementary, middle, and high school programs. Applicants choosing this option must offer a minimum of 300 expanded learning program hours. Honestly, in our state, the only schools that really can do this are our community schools, because it is difficult due to union issues, etc., for our traditional schools to be able to expand their time. So what does that mean? If you are a community school and right now your hours are 8:30 to 3:30. If you're able to show evidence that now instead of 8:30 you're going to start at 8, the entire school, and then you're going to dismiss at 4, you have added about an hour of expanded, or hour and a half of expanded time. In that expanded time, you can use your 21st century dollars for the exact same purposes that I went over earlier, those 4 purposes for learning. And so this may be very attractive to some because it's easier for you to kind of manage your time. And here, all you have to do is just simply prove that you've expanded time and use those dollars in school. And then, of course, before, after, and possibly summer. Option 2. Option 2 is what we call our traditional 21st century program. It's out of school time only. It's available for elementary school programs. Of course, you can do before, after, and summer schools. And that's it for option 2. Option 3, again, traditional 21st century, out of school time. It's available for our middle and high school students. These programs must include a focus on college and or career readiness and or dropout prevention strategies as well. Additional supports and programming is required under this grant. And again, you still have to focus on your reading, math, positive youth development, and family engagement. So in Ohio, what does 21st century grant competition look like? We are very competitive in our state. I want you to focus on the FY20 line. For FY20, and that's the grant we just awarded, honestly, a week ago. The new applications that we received were about 244 applications this year. For new applications, we only were able to award 34 applications, and it's because, if you notice, we had a really high number of continuing grants that continued on this year. So we had 185 grants. So now we are managing in our office 219 21st century grants. Now, real quick, what I want to say here is that number is 219 entities that we provide funding to. But one entity, so if you're a school district and you're saying, hey, listen, we want to apply for this grant, but we want to fund 3 schools, you're able to do that. Total, we have about 500 21st century programs out there because of that. Real quick, I just simply wanted to mention the child nutrition programs. Every program is required to have a daily snack for students. Many programs have looked at the need of their students and they actually offer more. Some of them have connected with their food banks, other food resource programs there. We really support our grantees when we get to this, when you become a grantee, to offer more. So some of them do even offer dinner, and at least 2 of our programs in Cincinnati, the families join in for dinner for our at-risk and families in need. And then lastly, of course, you're like, well, all of that sounds great, but how will you monitor me? And so I really did feel the need to have to go over that just a little bit. So we do monitor for compliance. So these grants, if you receive a grant, you will receive funds for a total of 5 years. Your first 3 years, so year one, you can receive up to $200,000 and a minimum of $50,000. The same goes for year two and year three. In year four, we reduce it down to $150,000 is your max. And then in year five, $100,000 it's reduced to. And the thought there for year four and year five is sustainability. And we do work with you on elevator speeches and some other avenues to sustainability, just in case you apply again and don't receive that grant, but helping you come up with strategies to maintain those funds. So first year implementation, we look at it simply a desk review for us, just to make sure that you're off to a great start. Second, your second and fourth years will be on-site visits. And then your fifth year is grant closeout, and you'll just literally be working with our fiscal staff person who will be helping you close out the grant. And then we will be working with you if you plan to apply again for another 5-year cycle. Next, we have a 3-tier system of evaluation. Yes, evaluation. We work with our grantees, so please don't sweat this part, because this is typically the part that everybody gets a little concerned about. We do require our grants to have a local evaluation. We walk you through that. We actually have a local evaluation manual that is used as a model throughout our agency to support you in connecting with either a college or someone in your community that can assist you with that local evaluation. The state is required to do a statewide evaluation, and all we ask for there is just your participation. And then, of course, the United States Department of Education has an annual data collection tool. You will be trained on that tool, and typically what we ask is that your evaluator update the data that we need. So we're trying to make this as easy as possible for those who receive the grant. Lastly, we have started a quality assessment tool, and we are having a pilot program. Right now there are 13 programs that are involved in the pilot. Someday, if you are a grantee, you will be involved in learning how to utilize the quality assessment tool. Again, your evaluation team should be taking the lead in that, and your role would be simply just ensuring that it gets done. I know that was super, super quick, but if you have questions, we are very interested in your questions at this time.
So if you have some questions, go ahead and feel free to type them in the little comment section. But Shannon, I have a few little questions that have come up. So can you tell me how parents and families are currently engaging in 21st century?
Sure. So right now, family engagement looks very different in a lot of different programs. Like I said before, some of the grantees do a full-fledged assessment to find out what parents are looking for. So some programs have a lot of parents that are involved. They do centers. I think that was the word I was looking for earlier. They'll do different centers. So on Monday and Tuesday, they might have 2 parent-centered programs where the parents are teaching them a social skill. So we have one parent that teaches our students about public speaking because that's what she does regularly. And then there is a parent there that does the attendance. There was a program that struggled in this, and they had a parent who was very good and extremely organized that helps them with their attendance system. So they get them involved on a administrative level, and they get them involved in a programmatic level. There are some programs that do your regular family nights, but we really push that is a part of family engagement, but not a big part. We really want the parents to be more engaged in programs.
So, for example, we have a lot of dropout recovery schools, and this would be great for the high schools, and we have some schools that are doing after school additional tutoring for the end of course exams and other exams that these students need to take. So for those at risk 17, 18, 19-year-olds, do the parents need to be a large involvement, or can it be just, it's hard to get the parents in with students that age? Could it be smaller groups? Does it need to be, all parents? Is there a set number?
So, there is no requirement. There's no requirement of how large your parent involvement has to be, and there's no requirement of how small it is. It honestly is, we want to see effort. We want to see that you're thinking outside the box, you're looking at the needs of the students that you have participating in your program, and get those parents involved. I mean, and keep in mind that what is successful just in research with 21st Century is sometimes they feel more comfortable with that 21st century staff and can engage with parents easier. If you do nothing else but teach them how to communicate with educators. I mean, a lot of these parents have been shunned from education themselves. And so, and not been successful themselves in education. And so if that 21st century program just kind of helps parents navigate through the school system, that's a huge resource for them. But no, there is no requirement to answer your question. None at all.
Awesome, thank you. And we have a question here from Maureen. A few years back, ELT option was allowed for tutoring throughout the day. The school has a specific period of time for intervention, not graded. Can the grant funds be used for that period during the day?
Yes, so the grant funds can be used, and back then when you're talking about it was before it became law. Now that the law is in place, you can use those funds, but keep in mind when you structure your program, the program and even the tutoring pieces have to be around your math, reading components if you're focusing academically. I hope that made sense.
So they can use part of it during the day?
Absolutely.
Could it be like a midday session that they've added?
Sure, anytime during the day. See, before, and this person that's asking the question is clear on probably 21st century in the rules, and it was huge taboo to not use your funds because the law has changed. You can use your funds as long as you're very specific on how you've expanded your time and what you're using the funds on.
Oh, awesome. So we heard that it's going back to a little bit about the family engagement. So generally family engagement, since it is a major component, is that focus usually looked at during the school day time, or do you think that it's most entities that use this grant money do it mostly after school and in evenings?
Most of our programs are after school, so they're probably more of the option 2 and option 3. Like I said, we struggle. This fiscal year 20, we had 4 applications for option 1, and none of them were funded because they couldn't demonstrate that they expanded their time. Okay. So we're a little desperate and right now to get some option 1 applications.
And tell us a little bit about the training or the next time the grant rolls out so that our schools can start applying.
That's a great question. So in January, I want to make this super easy. If they could contact you or someone in your staff, I can get that list from you of people who might be interested in 21st century. And what we would do is in January, we have a webinar that's called a bidders conference, and it's for anyone who's interested. I call it a cheat session. We go through our entire RFA. We answer all questions. We go through what we're looking for. We explain what makes a great application, because what we want is good applications. We want people to come together in the community and really think about what they want to do. So we go through every section of the RFA, and that's the only time that we can do that in January, because once February 1 hits, we can no longer talk about it. So we do a webinar. If it's your first time applying, me personally, I encourage not to pay attention to the webinar, just do it for a refresher. I would take advantage of coming to in-person bidders conferences. We do one in the northern part of Ohio and one in the southern part of Ohio. We will announce those dates probably in the next week or so. So I can give you that information, but if you've never applied, I'd say come in person.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, so anyone that's on this call that's interested in attending, please reach out to me or one of your consultants, and we will keep in touch with Shannon. And as soon as we get those dates, we'll get them on everyone's calendar. And I see we have another question about, can grant funds be used to purchase any food items? Good question.
I don't care what setting I'm in, I get that question. So here's the answer. Technically, no. They're federal funds, and we cannot use those funds to pay for food. However, you can use funds if you can describe how you can use the funds to purchase food if you can clearly describe how it's connected to a curriculum. So you have a parent or someone in the community that's a chef, and they want to come in or they want to teach the students how to make basic food where they don't have to cook, right? I'm just giving an example. That's part of a curriculum, because in that curriculum you can talk about how you focused on measuring, how you focused on reading, how you focused on those things. So programs have to be creative. Now, can you just make a pizza and everybody eat it? No, it needs to be attached to a curriculum.
So awesome. So you can have your local parent teach the students the basic, especially the high schools, some basic how to make simple dishes or food to feed them and their siblings if they're watching them. Some basic skills that we all need.
Yeah. Pizza parties for the families, no. But if the kids make it and you tied it in curriculum and they serve it to their parents, yes. So you have to be creative in how you do that.
Awesome. All right. Are there any other questions from anyone? If not, please keep in touch with us. If you think about questions after this webinar, again, reach out to me or any of the consultants and we will get them to Shannon to make sure that you get all the answers you need. And I look forward to seeing all of you applying for this grant. And so when I get the email of who the grant is being awarded to, I can send the congratulations to all of you. So thank you all for coming. Thank you, Shannon, for helping us through this and teaching us a little bit about this. This is an awesome grant that I knew nothing about until a few weeks ago. So this is great.
Someone's typing.
Oh.
I can. Oh, they stopped.
Oh, thank you. Thank you all.